Hello, everyone. My name is Timothy Mitchell. I am the Practical Printer, digital printing for practical people. I have with me a guest, I usually do, and his name is Joseph Sciberras. And
How's it
Joseph,
going, sir?
hi, Joseph. How are you?
I'm doing good. Doing good.
Thank you for joining me early this morning. This is wonderful.
Yeah.
Joseph is with CET Color, ladies and gentlemen. They're a company just down the road from me in Atlanta. You guys have been in business for what, about 20 years now?
Yes, sir. We've been in business for 20 years. And in the States, I think in a total of 25 years. So
Okay, fantastic. So you're just down the road, and you guys specialize in UV LED printers. Is that fair to say?
that is correct. We have a 100,000 square foot facility off of Fulton Industrial where we specialize in flatbed printers and hybrid printers.
Okay, fantastic. So you are just literally a short distance in Atlanta traffic. That's three times that distance,
Yeah.
depending on when I leave. But I will visit you at 5 in the morning on my way to the airport, and then
Perfect.
I'll have
We'll
no
be open.
traffic. Middle of the night, early in the morning is a great time to travel in Atlanta. Um, Look, you guys, we did a little event at the show, and
Mhm.
obviously, I'm going to release a little video about that. And that was about a product that you have announced, which is called the Q2 100. The Q2 100. And I think it's a little gem. Want to tell a little bit about it because I think it's a cool thing, and I haven't seen one that I like better than yours.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we had a lot of different products in our portfolio, but we never had this specific size, and this is a true 24 by 36 flatbed printer.
Right.
It's something that's new to us, not necessarily new to the market, but so we launched it at Printing United. It's got Ricoh GH2220 print heads in it. It's an amazing little flatbed printer for 40 grand that customers can get into, be able to print on promotional products, signage, anything 8 inches thick or less, and be able to print directly to the surface of it.
Ooh,
And then,
8 inch thick.
yes, sir, eight
That's a
inches.
that's a pretty remarkable head height. Very few machines can go 8 inches.
Yeah, it's great. It gives us a little bit more robustness when it comes to product versatility. And then there's some other things that are features that some products have, not all. We have a rotary attachment, but we also have a camera system that is an option as
Okay.
well to be able to find your material. Kind of helps with the jigs. If you don't want to have a bunch of jigs, you can put your material on the bed, and the camera system will actually find it for you.
Oh, that's very nice. So it sounds like, at least when I looked at it at the show, what it looked to me is like you took all the knowledge and technology you have from your higher end flatbeds, from the Dynasty all the way down to the Q6, and said, hey, we can just keep all that, but then apply it to a smaller frame and footprint.
Absolutely. Yeah, we took everything that we have from the ease of use and versatility to the scalability and upgradability of the products that we already had, and we just kind of just like shrunk it, and we just made it into a tiny 24 by 36 printer. So everything that you are used to with the CET flatbed printers, we have basically kind of already put that into this guy.
Okay. A couple things of note we covered. Obviously, the head height is pretty remarkable. I love the Ricoh heads that you have on it. Those are both proven and bulletproof.
Yeah.
Sometimes people come to me and say, "Hey, what do you like in a flatbed?" I said, "One of the things I like, you have usually two headsets you see on the market. You see Ricoh, and the older ones you see a Ricoh Gen 5.
Mhm.
You guys are using Gen 6, and then you have the Kyocera's, which are a, you know, wider, faster, tier up, quite a bit more expensive. You guys specialize in both
That is
the
correct. Yeah.
Ricoh and the Kyocera's.
We offer both print heads in our flatbed printers, which is really nice. It's a nice option for customers because the three things customers are always looking for, they're looking for price, quality, and speed. And if you can meet all three of those demands, then you're obviously going to have a happy customer. And depending upon budget and throughput capabilities that the customer needs, then we can kind of tailor it based off of Rico or Kyocera for them.
Okay, cool. Well, these have the Ricos, which I like a lot. There's a lot to say about them, and it's all good. Everyone knows them. They're reliable, they're proven, they're durable. It's just a great, consistent print head that gives you excellent high quality and does so with a beautiful, gradient variable drop, and I like it a lot. Good
Yeah,
product.
yeah, this the ones that we put in this machine have a 2.5 peak liter droplet size, so very
Oh, really?
tiny. Yeah,
Cool.
like, I don't even think I mean, I would never know from 2.5 to
Yeah, you're even
6.
lower than the 5. That's great.
Yeah, so it's something that is very, very minuscule amount of droplets of ink for a very high quality print that can come off of it. So
Okay, great. Um, I read somewhere in the literature that you guys have bundled this with Flexi. Is that the case?
that is the case. So we partnered with Flexi on this machine specifically because there's a few different reasons behind it. But one was the workflow capability, meaning that we wanted our customers to be able to have a true workflow from design to print. And nobody, I mean, there's a few out there, but Flexi does it very, very well from being able to create my image to then set it up and then be able to print it. And so that was one of the reasons. The other reasoning behind it was textured and braille printing to be able to have all of
Oh,
that
good. I'm glad you
capabilities.
brought that up because 88 Braille was on my list, and I know Flexi handles that well.
Yeah, so that was another reasoning behind it too, is to be able to package everything in together with that because that is obviously a big thing for customers, and they've made it very, very easy to be able to just kind of plug and play.
Yeah, good. Because I think this size and this footprint doing ADA Braille signage and layering signage, real custom stuff, it would be certainly one of the things people would really want to do.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And so you have the ability for that. We do offer it with Onyx, but it's going to be packaged with Flexi for now, just because it's going to be
Okay.
an awesome deal that they've worked out with us. So
All right. That's something I wanted to get in with you. You know, I'm a workflow guy primarily, and I'm also an open architecture guy. Um, any printer I buy, the first question I ask is, does it work with Onyx, Print Factory, Caldera, and Flexi? You know, because at a given time, I may use any one of the four. I can certainly work with others as well. But if, you know, let's say I'm working in a partnership with someone and they might come in and go, oh, I really like Onyx. Okay, great. I can use Onyx with this. So that if that's your cost preferred rip and that's what you're comfortable with, I find shops fly a flag like, hey, this is our software flag, and your printers have to work with it. And you guys seem to be very focused on open architecture platform where you're harmonious and integrated with all of the software the customers are likely to use because you don't have your own software. You make your printers universal and, you know, if you will, agnostic towards everybody's software.
Oh, for sure. So the biggest thing for me and for our company, William Davis, our director, has made it a thing about customer satisfaction and making sure that customers are up and running and being able to be taken care of. And a lot of times, like a lot of different manufacturers out there, they'll have everything kind of locked off and blocked off for people not to be able to access. And we want to make sure that the customer is up and running and happy as quickly as possible. So we allow customers, A, to work on their own printers, but B, from a software perspective, we do have our preferred methods of Onyx, yes, but we do offer the abilities for customers to use Caldera, Flexi, so on and so forth. And we've even created custom drivers for customers that wanted to be able to use, different types of softwares out there for certain applications.
Good, excellent. I think that's the way to go. That is the best plan. It's universal. It gives you the widest degree of support across the industry. And, you know, you want to be compatible with the software game, and the software game is going to have its own development. And it's very
For sure.
competitive, right? I mean,
Yes.
it's very competitive out there. And all of the I like all of the RIP, let's just call it RIP ecosystems for different reasons. But people have preferences. Some people like, hey, I really like to work from a Mac. All right, great. There are RIPs that are very focused on Mac Linux, and other people are
Yeah.
like, I'm more of a Windows guy traditionally because I build my own, and hey, I want to work on a traditional Windows platform traditionally. So, and those are just some of many reasons why people use
Oh, for
different
sure.
software products.
We Yeah, and we use Onyx as our preferred method, mainly because customers can linearize different colors and different printers and things like that nature, be able to custom calibrate things, be able to have specific profilings that's made. There's a lot of different tools that Onyx obviously
Okay,
offers. And then our guys know it the best, well, I should say. And so if you do have a customer that is calling in, they can call our 1-800 number and they'll be able to get some answers.
okay. Um, I want to get back to the Q2 100 because I think it's an
Yes, sir.
interesting product, and especially at that price point, it answers a lot of need in the market for someone who has roll to roll. They're realizing that the specialty market is important, and there's a lot you can do with it. UV LED gives you the best access to that market, you know, direct print. you having the camera built in does save a lot of people from having to have everything on jigs because the camera will identify everything quite nicely.
Correct.
You have a very fine drop print head. Flexi's going to handle your Braille and ADA and specialty stuff real well, and it'll be intuitive because I've seen the process and I've watched them develop it over the years. It's very good. It looks like you have a very nice and high quality uh, tabletop, as well as tell me a little bit about the structure of the gantry and whatnot.
Yeah, so this is obviously it's a very heavy machine. So our normal products are like, obviously made off of steel frames and whatnot, and this is not anything different. It's an 800 to 900 pound machine. So you think of a 24 by 36 printer, you think of a sometimes small lightweight type of printer. This is a decently sized heavy piece of machinery still. But yeah, the table itself and the gantry. So we obviously all of our print heads upgradable, obviously, to be able to add specialty colors into it.
Okay,
Um,
so you can do white and varnish and everything with this one too.
we can do white and varnish with it. We've got obviously we have the 8-inch head gap, but we have some things on it that not every printer does in that kind of size footprint. We have a pin registration system that pops out from the table.
Very
So for
nice,
you
like
to be
that.
able to align your material, if you're doing 24 by 36s, or if you're doing obviously 18 by 24s or whatever it may be, you can align your material up pretty well. And then they just are pneumatic. They go back into the table with a press of a button.
Okay.
The other nice part about it is we have vacuum zones. We have 2 zones on it. We have one in the back
Oh,
and one in the
good.
front.
That's a
So if
little
you're not
unusual for a
using
printer in that size. That's great.
it is, usually it's just on or off, and, we have 2 of them. So if you're not using one or the other, obviously you can turn one of them off and be able to pull a little bit more suction to it, and these will hold the material down pretty well too, so.
Okay. As I recall, all your inks are made in the U.S., so that's nice.
All
No
of our inks
supply
are
chain
manufactured here in the
interruptions.
States. Nope. Our inventory is obviously very, very good when it comes to that. We house everything in our warehouse in Atlanta, and turn times on things are pretty remarkable. So
Okay, good. As I'm told, you have other locations that store parts and ink and things like that, so you'll have a shorter delivery time to the West Coast and the Midwest.
we do. We're opening up some basically like satellite facilities when it comes to our distribution to be able to help with the West Coast customers because right now we do have a cutoff time. I think of like 2 or 3 o'clock in the
Okay,
afternoon for next day stuff. And obviously, if you're working on the West Coast and you don't realize you need ink, and by that time it's too late. So we're opening up some facilities out there to be able to help mitigate those problems and be able to get customers ink and parts as quickly as
good.
possible.
Yeah, I know that there have been supply chain kinks, that began largely with a tariff where people, it's really awful to have a printer. You're ready to go. You have the job. Customers waiting. You're on a deadline, and I can't get ink.
Yeah.
And I can't get ink. And I can't get ink. And why can't I get ink? Big problem. Obviously, you understand that. That would
Yep.
fall under Mr. Davis's edict to make sure you take care of the customer.
Exactly. Exactly.
Also, it sounds to me like you can print edge to edge on your. So you built this to handle certain size boards that we use commonly, right? That you're just going to
Correct.
buy pre-cut. Just drop them in
Yeah.
one after another. Sounds like you can print edge to edge on everything.
Yep, you can print edge to edge on everything. It does have obviously a anodized aluminum bed, so if you do overprint on anything, you can just scrape it off with a razor blade. Obviously, wipe it down with alcohol. You're good to go from there. But full
Okay,
bleed, being able to print on pretty much any type of surface that we want to directly print to it. Yeah, as you well know, UV ink's topical ink, so we can print basically on any surface. It's going to be dependent upon the surface of how long it lasts. And so, for the most part, in our signage worlds, our coroplast, foam boards, dye bonds, acrylics, all of that stuff have great adherence to it. But if there's anything special, the applications, we can always test it before a customer makes that leap. So,
okay, great, excellent. Um, Another thing I wanted to go over with you. You said something very unusual to me yesterday. I've never heard anyone say this before, so I'm going to bring it up.
sure,
This, I think I'll probably close on this because I try to keep the videos kind of brief, and
sure,
I also want to talk about your Q6 and some
yeah,
of your Sarah, your 4x8 and your 5x10, and your high speed because you have a really broad and deep portfolio, right?
we do.
Yeah, any type of UV LED, you have one, and any kind
We,
of speed, price point, print heads. But the thing that struck me, and this has been a longstanding thing of mine. I said, service, how are you handling service? And you said, well, the printers are sold through dealer channels, but we do the installation. We
Yes,
send
sir.
our own people out to do the installation and training, which I like. I think that's a smart play. It ensures that you have highly skilled people who have one very specific task with your product lines, setting them up properly, and then working with the customer to make sure the customer's up to speed,
Yes, sir.
right? You also said that you have you have lifetime support that you can reach out to your technical experts where people can reach in. Obviously they want to utilize the dealer. The dealer is part of the
Sure.
deal too. That's why they're the dealer. They're part of the relationship. But you guys are also available. And then I said something about, well, do you have service contracts? And you said, yeah, we do, but I usually talk people out of them.
I
Because I
do.
asked about your warranty, and you said we have a 1 year warranty, which is pretty industry standard. I said, yeah, but you talk people out of them. I've never heard ever in my lifetime a sales manager say, we try to persuade people. I don't think it's really that great of an investment. Now, explain yourself, Mr. Joseph Ramirez, because you are cutting again. Now, I agree with you, and I agree with you. I'll tell you what, you explain your case, and I'll tell you why I think it's a smart play.
Sure, yeah. Look, I'm all about saving the customer money in every aspect that I possibly can because I personally try to put myself in their shoes and what would I want from a business and how could I possibly make obviously that investment make sense. And if you are in the wide format world and you've got a roll to roll printer, you're upgrading to a flatbed printer, you have a flatbed printer, and you're upgrading to our printer, it's not something typically new to you. You know what you're getting into, you know maintenance, you know all of that aspects. And if you do the main things, like with you do your daily maintenance, you change your filters, you do all of the stuff that we ask you to do upon installation and training, then there's not a lot that can potentially go wrong for where you need a extended service plan. Now, some large companies require it and want to have it as a safety net, and that's perfectly fine. We'll be happy to sell you them. But from an aspect of if we show you how to do everything and you're actually paying attention, then there's no need for us to come and take, 20, 30, $40,000 a year to be able to do something where it may only cost you a few $1,000 if you need to call us and to come out or the dealer to come out, once or twice a year. So
Okay.
it's mainly like, hey, do your oil change, rotate your tire, and make sure you're putting in the correct gas, and your car is going to last you a long time, kind of deal.
Okay. I agree with all of that. I think that's very honorable. I think it's noble. I think it's the way business should be done. I have an ongoing skepticism towards having to have all of my printers on extended warranties. I understand in certain shops, but simply because of the volume and a few other things, they want the
Yeah,
reassurance.
for sure.
However, um, I'm not going to pay it. I find the prices to be ludicrous relative to the value of the printer. Um, I think it indicates honestly that the only way you're going to get real service is you're going to be, on this service plan that is expensive and is basically signaling that, it's like going to an amusement park and the only way you're ever going to get on the rides is if you pay for the super extra super fast
Yeah,
pass, and everyone else is like stuck in a 3 hour line, and I'm like, well, what's this all about? Um,
exactly.
I think that the issue I have too is, and you mentioned this, I want to use my local service guys. I know them. I have maybe 20 people I know who are in the industry who are independents. They worked for a major company and they went out on their own. I will use them because I trust them. I know them. I know they're good. And they want to be able to reach out to the company I would buy a printer for and say, hey, can I get these schematics? Can I get this manual? Can I go to certain trainings? And I also have customers who feel the same way. They're high functioning customers,
Yeah,
and you guys keep that very open to both independent technicians, and I'm making this video in part for all the independent technicians to send them a link and go, "Hey, I have a guy you can work with. I have a team that you can work with," because in a lot of places I know they have almost all the contracts in Arizona because they're better than a lot of the companies that they send out as contract employees, right? And they have the loyalty of the owners because they've done work for them over the years. They just need access to the training, the information, and the manuals, and they can fix things. I mean,
exactly.
your your print heads, they've seen many times before. It's not like some totally
Oh,
unusual thing. So as long as you give them concrete instructions, you don't really guys really care how it gets done as long as the customer is happy.
Exactly. As long as the customer's taken care of, that is our biggest goal. We want to make sure that customer satisfaction comes first, whether that be us training and all of our training classes are completely free. We don't charge anything for them. So if a dealer tech, a end user, or a third party tech wants to come to them, they just have to make transportation and come themselves. Obviously, pay for all of that aspect, but we
Right.
will certify them on it to be able to make sure that they know what they're doing, but we want to make sure that the customer is up and running as quickly as possible. And obviously going through, your proper channels is always recommended. But if you're in a bind and you're in a pinch and you got a guy that knows how to do something and fix it, we want to get you back up and running and making money, because I know that most of the time this is most companies' livelihood. And so we want to get that printer back in production as quickly
Right.
as we can. And so having third party people or even end users that have been 20 to 25 years experience fixing their own flatbed printers, then we have no problem with making sure that we share all of the necessary data with them.
Okay. I think that's a very intelligent philosophy. It addresses the key shortage of, available and capable technicians, service technicians in our industry, which there is a shortage. And I'm not saying that the dealers frequently don't have very good techs. I'm saying sometimes they can't get there as quickly as people would like, or the customer has their own preferences. And I
Oh, for
accept
sure.
whatever their preferences are. I don't really care. If you have a guy and it's your guy and you trust them, great. Reach out to Joseph, reach out to CET. Here's the information, here's the manuals, here's the process, and we'll be happy to help you become highly skilled on our products to be able to support your customer base.
Exactly.
And it's going to
Exactly.
be probably half of what a lot of some of the other companies charge. I have seen some of the bills, frankly, and was looked at the list of repairs and was shocked. And then I look at sometimes these extended service contracts and I just weep with laughter. Like, oh my God, I can't believe people are paying that. I can't even fathom they're paying it. But there you go. They're
Yeah, it's
turning service, and then they won't share any information with anyone outside because they want to force you into their system because their system is designed to make them money. They try
oh
to
yeah.
find a way to monetize service big time. And maybe they're doing it, but they're doing it certainly on the back of a guy that goes, I can have somebody coming in here locally for about $900, or I can pay this service contract of $12,000 a year.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. It's like a
wow,
car. As soon as you drive it off the lot, the printers depreciate, unfortunately, when they go into shops. So
sure.
it's those service plans sometimes can add up very quickly. But yeah, I mean, it's a razor blade razor situation for most manufacturers. And then I mean, we're not any different from that aspect. We put printers out there to get reoccurring revenue, but we want to do it in a smart way, and we want to make sure that we keep customers happy. And customer satisfaction is kind of what Williams put forth in the last 3 to 5 years, to make sure that we build that customer base that wants to come back to us in the next 5 years when they need a new upgrade on their flatbed. So
Sure. Well, I love your philosophy. I particularly like the service end of it. I know a lot of your dealers. I think they're excellent. I know you. I love the approach. You have modular approach to the way you can put both your. You have, and we'll talk about this next time. The way that you have essentially an extensive choice menu
yeah,
of which type of print heads, which manufacturer, and then how do you want to configure them? How many do you want to put them in? What inks do you want to use? And essentially, what size do you want? Do you want a 4x8? Do you want a 5x10? And then you want a hybrid? You want a flatbed? And so ultimately, you get the customer exactly what they need.
correct. Yeah, I call it the grocery list approach. We go down the grocery aisle, we figure out what the customer needs and their recipe to bake them the perfect printer, and then we start grabbing pieces off of our inventory shelf and start making it for them. So
Okay.
we have the ability to custom tailor it, just kind of exactly what you need for the price, speed, and the quality that you're looking for.
Okay. Now, are these little, I call them the mighty Q2s, are they available right now?
They are available right now. We had a really good launch at Printing United, so we
Good.
are we are working through that backlog, but they are still available for purchase. And to be able to talk to your local dealer, obviously reach out to CET Direct to be able to get information on it.
Cool. Joseph, thank you very much for coming on the Practical Printer. I will have you
Absolutely,
back and talk about your extensive line of flatbeds and hybrids next time.
sounds like a plan, sir. I appreciate the
All
time.
right. Thank you very much, my friend. Take care.
Yes, sir. Thanks.